This is Diana Tevanga working on my skeleton video assignment. First things first, let me get you to do the list. So I'm going to be using the list off of the computer here. A little bit easier for me to see. So let me scroll through it. Of course you can see I haven't added anything to the PDF. Can't do that. So there you go. Alright. And we'll go ahead and get started with the cranial bones. Now the frontal is the first one. Frontal bones here. Frontal bones. Parietal. Parietal bones. Temporal. It's here. It also goes up a little bit on that arch there, so temporal. The zygomatic process. Here. The external acoustic meatus. This here. Next is the mastoid process. Tympanic bulla. This here. Squamous part of the temporal is the flat part here. Okay. Occipital. Occipital bone. Now I can't flip him over, and I'm going to just say that it's this bone here that surrounds the foramen magnum. And the foramen magnum is the hole that allows the spinal cord passage from the cranium down to the spinal canal. Okay, so again, the occipital bone is right in that, the foramen magnum is right in that occipital bone. And on the side of the foramen magnum are the occipital condyles. So again, you can't see it in here. The occipital condyles, what that does is it helps the cranium articulate with the atlas. So that's the area that they are in, all of those. The sphenoid. Sphenoid makes up the ventral part of the cranium and a lot of the lateral part as well up to the orbit. So it's very key. That's the key bone to the cranium. Nasal. There we go. Nasal bone is here. Nasal conchae or turbinates. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right in the nose there. Those rose-like looking bones. Maxillaries. Right here, inside of the nasal maxillaries. Okay. And the infraorbital foramen, it's right in here. It's right at the tip of this pointer right here. Incisive bones are these here. So incisive bone. Zygomatic bone. Temporal process. So the temporal process and the zygomatic process and the bone and the temporal bone makes up that arch. Okay, right there. Maxillaries, I did that. And lacrimals, lacrimal bone. Okay, the palatines are down here. Can't see it, the palatines, but it's down here. Then the next one's the hard plate. Now the hard plate is made up of the palatine, incisive, and the maxillary. Okay, to make up that jawbone. Let's see here. The next one is the mandible. So mandible, ramus of the mandible, the body, mental foramen, articular process. You can't see it. It's right in here, right below the let's see here, right below the coronoid. So that's the coronoid, the articular process, and then the angular process is this one here. Okay, a symphysis of the mandible is this right here. Okay. All right, and hyoid, you can't see it on the skeleton, but the hyoid bone, like around here, holds up the piece of the tongue. Okay. Vertebrae is the next one. Vertebrae, so the vertebrae here. Okay, atlas. Atlas is here. Axis, the wing of the atlas. within of the axis. Vertebral foramen. Probably could see it right in here. This is a good example right here. This is in this little hole right there. Right there. Okay. And then, so that's a vertebral foramen. And then the intervertebral foramen, now it's not very visible here, but that's when two vertebrae articulate with each other. The caudal, the cranial vertebrae, for example, has a little notch in it, and the caudal vertebrae has a notch in it, and it creates a little hole, and so it can be kind of like right in here. So that's what the intervertebral foramen is. Spinous process, the example of that would be like one of these. Here. Transverse process, see a good example of that would be right here. Here's one. Vertebral arch, back over here to this part here. So vertebral part, so not the whole vertebral foramen, just the arch there. Vertebral arch. Okay, now the next one is the anticlineal vertebrae, T11. That's going to be this one here. Okay, so T11. And then I'm going to break down the vertebrae into different portions. It's going to be the cervical here. That's a cervical. Okay. Thoracic. Lumbar. Sacral part here. And the coccygeal. Okay, and now to the sternum, up top here. Sternum is a breastbone, so that's gonna be right here. The sternobrae body. Sternobrae body. Let's see here. Manubrium. It's this one here. And xiphoid. And part here. Xiphoid. And that's the caudal part. The manubrium is the cranial part. And the ribs. And these are the ribs. So back to the vertebrae. Now the body of the vertebrae is below the vertebral foramen. You can't see it in here, but the bodies of all the vertebrae, they articulate with each other. So just wanted to mention that. That's where the body is, below the vertebral foramen. Now the clavicle, it's right here. Clavicle. Scapula. Scapula is here. Coracoid process. The glenoid cavity, it's right in there. The spine of the scapula. Supraspinous fossa. Infraspinous fossa. Okay, all right, that's the scapula. Now down to the humerus. Here's the humerus bone. The head of the humerus. The olecranon fossa, the greater tubercle, there's a tubercle here, supracondylar fossa, this is a cat, and deltoid tuberosity. Okay. Now the radius. Radius bone there. Ulna. The olecranon bone. Trochlear notch you can't see here, but that's the part there that the humerus articulates with. So that's a trochlear notch. The next here is a conial process. You can't see it either, but this little notch here, the top point part there, that's the conial process. Again, you can't see it, but that'll be right in there. Carpals. Carpals are here. Metacarpals. And the phalanges. the metacarpals 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Proximal phalanges, that'll be here, proximal. Now this skeleton is so small, so proximal, the medial will be right in there, and the distal is the one right at the very end with the claws in there, okay? So proximal, medial, and distal. Next one here, ilium. Ilium crest, the wings, here. Acetabulum. Acetabulum you can't really see here, but it's the part right here where the femur bone head articulates with the pelvis. So it's right in there. The sacroiliac joint is right in here. Okay, ischium. Ischial tuberosity. Now pubis. Pubic symphysis. Obturator foramen. Okay. Now we're moving on to the femur. This is the femur bone right here. Okay. Now the greater and lesser trochanter. So this is the greater. Lesser trochanter is right on this side here. The fabellae or fabelles are right in here. The head and neck of the femur. So the head is right here, and the neck's right here. And moving up or I should say down, because this distal actually, just the way it's sitting, it looks like it's going up. But here is the patella surface. Kind of patella's kind of disconnected there, but that's the patella. Tibia, this bone here. The medial malleolus of the tibia is right here. Let me turn this around here. Okay, now fibula. So that's the fibula bone right next to the tibia. You can really see it that way. Here, yep, this one's better. Head of the fibula. And then the lateral malleolus. This little part right there. Yep, lateral malleolus. Now the next one, let's see here on the list, calcaneus. Calcaneus here. And the talus bone you can't really see, but it's a little round bone right next to it. And on there, on that talus bone is the trochlea. All right, mahalo.